How does somebody get to $1 million a year by themselves?
Design Joy.
Design Joy.
Design Joy.
Brett from Design Joy. I mean, there's so many ways to answer that question. Design Beehive, I designed Buy Me a Coffee. Setting expectations is like the number one challenge with this sort of service. I have a rule of thumb, like most things take 48 hours. There's certain limitations and protections around Design Joy that protect my time.
Holy hell, dude. That is insane.
Yeah, there you go. That's a good way of putting it. Yeah, that's so true. So true.
So welcome to the podcast, man. I'm excited to have you here. Design Joy in the flesh. So the first question I want to start off with is, how much money are you making every year? Because I think that's the question on people's minds.
Between the two projects, Design Joy and my Productize Yourself course, about 2 million. It's about a 60-40 split, with Design Joy being the bigger fish.
Wow, that's fantastic. And you're doing this primarily as a one-man show with some contractors, maybe?
Yeah, no, it's exclusively solo. I don't use contractors or obviously don't have any employees. So yeah, I do a design agency, and then I have a little like educational piece on the side, kind of helping people build similar services around different skill sets. So yeah, the agency though is just me and always has been me.
Damn. Okay. How much is the agency doing?
It fluctuates. The price tag for the agency to work with the agency is a pretty high one per month. So MRR can fluctuate, but it's generally around 95 to 100K a month.
Okay, $95,000 to $100,000 per month. And then the other close to 100K a month you're making from course sales?
Yeah, it's a fairly new thing for me. I launched it I believe February this year. So yeah.
Got it. Are you going to lean more towards the course sales? Because I imagine, there's not fulfillment and any of that.
I'm not, unlike you, I'm not really like a content guy. So for me, it was really kind of a one and done sort of thing. So the business itself, Design Joy, it's a pretty simple business, but the course is super small and short and to the point. So there's not a whole lot more I can do beyond that. And that's what I'm an expert at. So I've been there, done that. And I'll add some things to it. But yeah, Design Joy is my focus.
Makes sense, man. And I think I was talking with my friends too. And, I saw your Twitter post and you were like, $16,000 a week it's been doing for the last 12 weeks. And you said, I didn't promote it at all. It's automatically happening. Dude, I sell courses. I've done multiple seven-figure selling courses. Nothing about it, for me at least in my life, has ever been like that. And I have a big YouTube channel, but I actively have to sell it. I have to get on webinars. How the hell are you doing, whatever it was doing every single week? Because that's crazy.
Yeah, dude. I mean, so I don't have a lot of channels. I have Twitter. That's my channel. And even that channel is fairly new to me. Besides that, I really didn't have any channels before for the first 5 years of really growing Design Joy. To be honest with you, it kind of boggles my mind. I'm not a big analytics guy. I don't know quite how people are finding me other than through just Twitter. And then, I've been on a couple of big YouTube channels and things like that. But yeah, I mean, like I haven't tweeted in a week and it still does, $2,000 a day, even on those low periods. And then obviously when I do tweet about it, I usually never mention the course because people really are too fond of that. But when I just tweet in general, obviously it brings some traffic.
We have to think of it like a funnel. People just basically come to your Twitter to see your posts. And then from there, they click link in bio and it takes them to maybe one of your courses. I think it's called Productize Yourself or something along those lines.
Yourself, yeah. Crappy title. I came up within like 2 seconds, but I think that's basically in a nutshell. Like, I mean, obviously I was fortunate to sort of popularize a very popular model now that a lot of people are picking up. A lot of people are like really looking to kind of escape the whole 9 to 5 grind. And in my opinion, creating a product service is probably the easiest way, the most effortless way, the cheapest way of doing that.
I am looking at this right now. Your tweet, you dropped October 17th, a few days ago. It says, current solo ventures year to date, $900,000. Productize Yourself, $701,000. Never been a better time to be a solopreneur. So as of October this year, that looks like almost $2 million in revenue that is happening from both. And just tell me your thoughts on that when you made that tweet. Like, what were you thinking? What was going through your mind as you made that tweet?
Yeah, so it's interesting with me. when it comes to tweeting about money and revenue, right? I think that's what you're kind of getting at, right? Like kind of the taboo around it. Is that
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, that's definitely one
Yeah.
of the things too. And I want to know, one, the taboo, and then the second thing is, how were you feeling? Were you excited when you were looking at that? Were you like, damn, is this
Oh,
real?
okay. Oh, gotcha. Yeah. No, I mean, look, I've been making decent money for quite a while now. Um, and to be honest with you, it's tiring talking about it.
Yeah.
Because that's the majority of my content. But what I've done with Design Joy is kind of really shatter the ceiling as far as what you can earn being a designer, a developer, or a writer or anything like that. So it's, to me, it's paramount to continue to talking about that, because that's what ultimately draws people in. But no, I mean, for me personally, did I get like a lot of satisfaction from writing a tweet like that? I mean, no, because I've done it 100 times, maybe not to that amount.
Yeah.
Haven't never reached that kind of income before. But I mean, I reached 1 million last year. So once you hit that, it's, anything beyond that doesn't really mean as much as you think it might.
Okay. Makes sense. And
Yeah.
that is really powerful. What are the profit margins that you have
Yeah.
on this, right? Because most entrepreneurs, they might make 1 million and
Sure.
they keep 200 in net.
Sure. Yeah, for me, it's crazy, man. I mean, again, I don't have any employees or contractors. That typically, a payroll is typically 60-70% of your income is out the door right there, with most agencies, and a lot of agencies this past year have folded because their payroll has been so high. For me, I pay myself, and I have I think it's $84 a month in tools that I have, which is like Webflow and Figma. Everything else is free that I use. So if you take taxes out, I guess the gross profit would be about 99.5%, something like that.
Holy hell, dude. That is
Yeah.
insane.
Yeah. I mean, I don't have any expenses. So, I mean, obviously taxes take a big hit with that because I don't
Yeah.
have those expenses. But if you just look at gross profit, it's almost 100%.
Okay. I want to ask you this. I think this is a question on everybody's mind. One of my friends who's running a software agency as well, he selfishly wants me to ask you this question. I know he's going to be watching this and so excited right now. How does somebody get to $1 million a year by themselves? Because I can tell you, my software developer friend that's running an agency, he can. It's hard enough to just get clients. Like, he keeps pitching and going to these clients, and he's trying to do Instagram content, and then he's getting DMs from them, and he's trying to DM them and have a sales cycle. And if he gets one client in a blue moon, it'll be 10, 13K recurring for 6 months, 5 months, and then it's done. So he can't get past, I don't know. I don't even think he's getting past 150K a year, 200K a year.
Yeah.
And then a lot of the money is also going towards, I would say 50 to 70% is going towards labor, the people he's hiring to deliver. So how does somebody get $1 million a year, but then fulfill $1 million a year by themselves? That, I think, is on a lot of people's minds.
Yeah, it's a very loaded question because there are so many there's so many ways to answer that question. Obviously, it starts with the model itself. I would assume that your software buddy is not offering, software development as a subscription. So obviously, that's a differentiator there. Essentially taking design and selling it like a t-shirt. Better kind of comparison would be Netflix, right? Where it's basically instant access to a top level, very senior level designer that anyone can access as long as you can afford it. And there aren't any contracts or any sort of onboarding involved. You can do it in 30 seconds. So obviously reducing that, I call it, TTV, time to value, down as much as humanly possible. If you contrasted what his cycle looks like, I mean, he probably, I would assume, takes weeks to get onboarded onto a project and actually, perhaps more than a month to actually start working on it. With Design Joy, if you sign up today, I mean, I start working on your stuff today. So that's a big selling point. And then, there's certain limitations and protections around Design Joy that protect my time. For example, the golden rule is one request at a time. So even though I'm selling this, I hate the word unlimited, I don't use it on myself, but even though I'm selling this unlimited model, you can only request one thing at a time. And obviously, to do that and to do this well and to scale it to 1 million, you have to stick to the things that you're both good and fast at. So over the years, I've learned that there are certain things that I even enjoy or maybe not enjoy that I'm not good at. And I've gotten rid of those out of the scope of work. So I just focus on like the 3, 4, 5 things that I'm very, very proficient at and got rid of everything else. And then lastly, when it comes to design, I mean, it's sort of like development, maybe not as technical, but there's a lot of steps involved to onboard a project and actually, deliver something high fidelity. I've cut all the bullshit out of the process. Like there are zero steps. Like you submit a request, next day or day after that, you get the high fidelity, pixel perfect design finished. There is no onboard, there is no exploratory work, no whiteboarding, no wireframing, no low fidelity work. Jumping straight into the high fidelity work keeps the clients happy. It keeps them fed. It keeps their developers busy. And then, lastly, the last thing I'll say regarding that too is regarding the model is, the economy is crap right now, and a lot of people are not hiring. A lot of companies are very weary of hiring, full-time designers, developers. DesignJoy and other practice services like it really exist as a very safe and risk-free model because you can cancel the subscription anytime you want, and also you can pause the subscription anytime you want. So
Yeah.
versus hiring a designer full-time and you have to keep them, busy, and if you don't, you're continuing to pay for them.
Sure.
With DesignJoy, you can just pause your subscription. So that's a very, very loaded answer to a very loaded question, but there's a lot of reasons why I'm able to do it and others are not, because they're not really following suit with the model and structure that I have.
Okay. So let's say that my friend tomorrow makes his website and says, I'm just going to do subscription, $5,000 a month. I've seen other people try this as well, and nobody's signing up with them. And so I want to get into like customer acquisition. Are these people coming from referrals? Are these people coming from, how did this snowball thing effect start? That's what I want to know. Because from a business perspective, people want to pay for like a really solid offer. And, I think what makes a lot of the times software hard to sell is because people are like, well, I don't know how long it's going to take to finish. And so I don't know how much I'm going to charge you. And so it's a scary thing when somebody says it's going to be $5,000, $10,000 or whatever per month. And I'm like, well, am I even going to get it done? Like, what am I paying for?
How do you budget for that?
I'd much rather pay a guy who's like, it'll be 17,000 will be done. So let's start off with this. These clients, how are you getting these paying clients? Are they coming from referrals, or what's the specific way that they're coming in?
Yeah, I mean, I really want to touch on that piece that you mentioned there at the end too. But for me, it's going to look a lot different than your normal. I mean, I was fortunate to be ground floor first one to do this for web design and branding. So obviously, I've gotten some like embedded notoriety around that and have become known in the space because of that. So obviously not everyone's going to have it quite as easy as me, given that kind of unfair advantage of being first. But today, I mean, there's numerous ways that people find me. Obviously, the content that I put out on Twitter is an obvious one. There's been a lot of community support around DesignJoy too. So especially right now, ironically enough, in the productized space. So a lot of my clients signing on now are other productized services. But there's also referrals are obviously huge. I've never done any cold emailing and I've fortunately never had to do any traditional paid marketing. But I do know that the services that exist out there that are succeeding are doing those things very well. Actually, the first person to productize service was productized design was Design Pickle. They did other type of design work, but they had a heavy presence on paid marketing ads. And others since have done that. But that, that's the thing. It sounds maybe a cop out, but like the model kind of sells itself. Half the battle is just getting it in front of people and educating them that something even exists. I think a lot of people now are creating these productized services, including my students in my course, and just putting it out there and expecting things to just magically happen and clients to magically find them when they aren't doing even the basic tenets of what like a good marketing strategy is. So, there's a lot of ways people find me. But regarding your second point, because I've always wanted to address this, regarding like how do you budget around, like why would if I had a big project, why would I pick a subscription service when there's this sort of unknown cost around it, because you don't know, like you said, how much volume of work you're going to get done in a month. Why couldn't I just pay someone a fixed fee and know what I'm going to get, when I'm going to get it, and what I'm going to pay? You have to understand the majority of my clients are not these one-off projects that they just need a designer and then they're going to quit and cancel. They're people that want the flexibility and the accessibility of a full-time designer. So they have that mindset going into it, that they're paying, $60,000 a year for a full-time designer. If they use them, sometimes great. If they don't, that's fine too. They're not really like number crunching and counting profit on each project as closely as you would if you had a single project. So the
Yep.
same exists for a software developer. Like you'd want to go after clients who are looking for full-time help, not just a one-off project, because otherwise you're going to fall into that trap of them sort of number
Oh,
crunching. But again, like they get the accessibility of a full-time employee without any of the risk. You're not paying benefits. You're not doing contracts. You can fire them anytime you want to, but you have them somewhat full-time as long as you're outputting enough
interesting.
volume to constitute it. So
Okay.
I've never addressed that before. That's a very, very like good question
Yeah.
that I think needs to be touched on more.
I think what you could do is take this part of the video and put that on your website next to that FAQ. You know,
Yeah,
make
there you go.
you know what I mean? Like a short video on like Loom, and people
There you
can
go.
just watch that and answers that for them.
Yeah.
Okay. So, like I understand what you're saying here, but I still want to get deeper into it. So,
Sure.
how much money were you making per month before doing Twitter or any online marketing?
Yeah.
Before you started talking about it, before you became Design Joy, basically.
Yeah. Yeah. So if anybody's watching to follow my journey, you kind of know this story. I mean, Design Joy's been around for about 6 year period. For the first, if you were to cut the graph in half, for the first 3 years, it's just flatline at the bottom, like barely staying above water. I had a full-time job until I was making 80K a month. So I had a full-time job for a really long time while I was doing literally nothing at Design Joy for 3 years. And then as soon as COVID hit in March of whatever that was, 3 years ago or whatever, that's when things just took off for me. But yeah, I didn't join Twitter till February of this last year. Before that, I didn't have a social platform.
Sorry.
And yeah,
Sorry, I just want to jump into that. So 2020 things took off. So you got up to what, $80,000 a month around that time before you were even doing Twitter?
that's when the ramp up to 80 grand went. I couldn't tell you the exact month, but if you were to look at a graph again, it's flatlined at the bottom and then it just shoots up.
How and
starting in March.
Those clients came primarily initially, I imagine, from referrals, right? Like you just doing really quality work,
Yeah.
and then from referrals you end up getting to
Yeah.
8 clients, I imagine, 8 recurring clients, 8, 9.
I can tell you how it kind of happened. So the one platform that I did use and write a lot on, I wouldn't say a lot, but some on, was the Indie Hackers platform. So I would oftentimes share kind of revenue milestones on there. So that was literally the only content creation that I did for the first 3 years. And then March hit and COVID hit, and my prediction was that there was enough people who knew about me at the time. And then when everybody started working from home, everyone had so much time on their hands, so much opportunity to create new businesses and side projects, and then add into that, no one wanted to hire. I think it was a perfect storm that like Design Joy was there for 3 years, and then it was the perfect timing. And then things have never been the same.
What do you mean flatlined? Does that mean 10K a
Yeah.
month, 20K a month? Does that
Okay,
mean
yeah,
$0?
Yeah, I would say if you averaged it out, it might have been about $3,000 a month.
Holy crap. Okay. So I want to walk through a little bit of that journey, like in more
Yeah.
detail of like 3K to 80K a month. The reason is because somebody who's watching it, I want them to see the steps that you had, because I think people see the Design Joy right now and they try to replicate your steps right now. And that works for you, but that doesn't work for a lot of the new people because they're missing, you spent years building those roots. They're missing those roots. And then they're like, why is the tree not forming the apples that they want, right?
Sure.
So
Yeah.
3K a month was where you were at. When was this? 3K a month? 2019, 2018? When, around what time?
2017 through 2020, into 2020.
Okay, fantastic. I started my YouTube channel in 2017, by the way, so it's really cool.
Oh, nice. Awesome.
I can envision it.
Dope.
Okay. 2017, you're doing 3K-ish a month for like 3 years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, obviously there was peaks and valleys. I mean, I think one of those months I hit 0, but yeah, there was definitely peaks and
Average.
valleys, but average. Yeah. Yep.
Okay. And then when did you hit 80K?
Off the top of my head, it probably would have been towards the end of 2020-ish. Yeah, I think what happened was I rebranded Design Joy. I was under a different name called Hue at the time. And that rebrand too, funny enough, I call it like the linear effect or the Versal effect. Like Linear and Versal have these like gorgeous sites that like
They're
people like me
gorgeous.
visit, even though I have no interest in Linear, but like you visit the sites because they're gorgeous. That
They're
same
gorgeous.
thing to a much smaller degree happened with my Design Joy site when I did rebrand. It did just naturally get a lot of traction because of the design of it and the aesthetic and
I
everything
mean,
around it.
when I
Um,
typed in designjoy.com, I ended up going to some like Chinese website. Like,
yeah, it's .co. Unfortunately, I don't own the .com.
oh, okay. Yeah, I was like,
Yeah.
what the heck? I was trying to do.
Yeah, I find it's a little outdated now because I haven't changed it in 3 years, but I've tried to rebrand it a couple of times since, and the
It
community
looks.
was a hard no on changing it. So I've
That's
just kept it.
funny. Okay, I see. Yeah, okay, makes
But
sense. I see this. I see how it is. Yeah, the website looks really clean. I love the how fast it is. The snappy feel is
is
really
it
nice.
fast? Good. I'm glad it is fast because it's been cached on my inside. I didn't know if it'd be quick or not. But yeah, I think again, it was like a multitude of things. But yeah, the 80K went from 3K to 80K, and to be honest with you, like I wish I had this like genius plan to make it all happen, but it really happened so quick, so suddenly, so out of nowhere. Um, Aside from that, maybe that rebrand. Aside from that, there was really nothing that I could
And
attribute that
these
to.
people, where did they come from? If you remember these, I
Yeah,
imagine maybe probably like all of a sudden you got 10 new clients in a few months. I'm just trying to do the math
sure.
on 5 to 10K per
Hmm.
month per client. Did these guys come from referrals? Did these guys come from that indie
Yeah,
hackers platform?
sure. Well, it's worth noting. So I very recently switched to 5K a month. So back in that time, I was as low as $449 a month. There was times where I had 40, almost I think 50 clients was my height, making way less money than I do now. So it wasn't that journey from 3K to 80K when it did jump was like the most terrible period of my life because I was growing way beyond control. Um,
Yes.
but yeah, there was really nothing that I could contribute to other than like perfect market fit and market timing.
Okay, great. And now, from a fulfillment perspective, how do you fulfill all of these clients? Like, I started my content marketing agency helping people grow their YouTube because what I realized was I was offering people coaching and consulting to grow their YouTube, but nobody was getting, like, not nobody, but there were a bunch of clients that weren't getting the content done, like, as in shooting. And so it's like, if you're not going to shoot, how are you going to grow? And then I thought, let's just do the content for them. Like, sorry, they weren't editing it. They were never editing it. So I'm like, okay, I'll just put in a team to edit their content. All they have to do is shoot. But even managing that, starting to have that became a lot of fulfillment. Now, on the
Hmm.
software side, for my friend, when he's doing software for clients, I mean, maybe he needs to learn how to scope it better, but they're building a
Yeah,
NFT for one client. He's building like an NFT marketplace with back
sure,
end and front end and integrating it with the blockchain. And then for another client, he's doing like more regular web 2 front end, back end. And for each project is like a nightmare in complexity. He's a pretty good senior
sure.
developer. Like he has over 10 years of experience, but the projects just take so much and they're so complex. And
Hmm.
so how are you
Yeah,
fulfilling for 50 clients at a time or
yeah.
5, 10, however many clients at a time?
Well, I mean, first off, maybe some designers will get mad at me for saying this, but design is nowhere near as technical as development. So that's an obvious one, right? So I think I may sometimes reduce just design down to pushing pixels and making things look good and pretty and work, but like to compare it to the complexities that exist around building a really complex piece of software, you know, kind of a night and day difference there. So for
Yep.
me, I mean, some of my tasks that I have 2 days to complete only maybe take me like 5 to 10 minutes. That's a good chunk of them.
Wow.
Very rarely do they ever take me an hour to do, and that goes for like maybe it's a landing page or maybe it's just today I did like an onboarding flow for a product. And again, this is just like static design in Figma. This is not building anything out with code.
Yep.
I do Webflow development, but that's on the side. But yeah, like most things take me under an hour. Again, under 10 minutes sometimes. So for me, given my skill set and again sticking to the things that I'm really strong on, that definitely does help. When it comes to development, which I think your audience might be more interested in, it does look a little bit different. It's not going to be quite as simple and straightforward as Design Joy with design, but again, it comes down to limiting the scope. like if you open the door up to like full stack development, for example, I mean, you could get asked to do anything under the sun. And when clients like to see tangible things being built and you're in the back end doing God knows what in the database or with APIs, it's really hard to quantify that with clients and to get them interested in continuing on a subscription. So even when it comes to development, I mean, sticking to maybe it's just HTML, CSS, JavaScript with like landing page designs and marketing sites and more focusing on those niches versus like getting into these hardcore software development projects. And if you do get in those hardcore software development projects, limit the number of languages that you use, or find ways to limit the number of meetings that you have with clients, or how the sprints work within the system. And I have a whole like kind of perfect plan how I would do it, even though I'm not a developer. So you'd probably be able to speak more to it. But there's just there's differences that would have to exist in order to make it work for development. But it's not impossible.
Okay. That makes a lot of sense. Like having these boundaries in place, maybe sticking to, instead of back end, you can stick to just front end, one or the two, one or the other, and then scope it down. Okay. So that type of stuff I think makes sense. I don't know if that question was answered, or maybe I didn't understand it or missed it. So I want to go back to that just for a little bit.
Yeah.
But when you had that big jump, 3K to 80K, and happened a little bit, I was asking if it mainly came from referrals or it came from indie hackers. And I think you might have answered it, but I just don't think I understood it. So I want to ask that again.
Yeah, it was still very much from indie hackers and very small like pre-funding companies. That was the majority of it. Only until I increased my prices to about the 3 to 5K was I getting really like enterprise level companies that I work with today, or like very, very like fast growing companies. Back then it was super small because the price was super low. So yeah, it was like the typical person who got sent home to work and just wanted to create something on the side, didn't have deep pockets, but like needed some design support. So that was what, grew me to that. And then from that gave me the authority to increase my prices and to work with bigger and better clients as I continued increasing those rates.
Interesting. Okay. And did you ever try, like, what are the most aggressive price points that you tried? Have you tried 15K a month, 10K a month?
Yeah.
Or did you find the sweet spot was around 5K? And then like, how did you do your research on that?
Yeah. I did no research. I mean, again, when I launched DesignJoy, there was only one other company do it. They were charging $449 a month. So what did I do? I'm a genius. So I just did the exact same thing as them. No, I'm not a genius.
Nice.
I had no clue.
Awesome.
So I just did the exact same thing as them. But the difference was, as I got more and more demand, I just ticked that up to $849 a month, then to $1,295 a month, then to $1,500, then to $2,000, then to $2,500, then to $3,500, all the way to $5,000. Again, demand never kind of diminished along the way. It actually just had the adverse effect where it grew and grew and grew. And then once I hit 5K, like that's the thing. It's hard to explain, but like I could in theory charge probably 10K today, but the burden that I would have on myself to deliver the amount of work that I need to deliver to constitute someone paying that price would be so much more now. Like I feel like 5K is very, very cheap for a senior level designer like myself. And so I'm comfortable with that. I do have a new plan that charges 8K. You do get double the volume of work though. So you get 2 requests at a time, and it's my most popular plan now. So the demand is definitely there. I think 5K is probably the floor of what like more premium subscription services should charge. I think beyond that, 10, 12K might even be reasonable, even 15K.
Wow. Damn. That's really awesome. Okay. And right now, do you have a pulse on where are the customers that you have right now for this? Do you have a way of knowing if they're coming from Twitter mostly, or like how many? Okay, let me put it like this, because I know a lot of the revenue is recurring. I know a lot of that revenue is people just sticking around.
Sure.
How many new clients are you getting every single month, like average?
Yeah. Churn rate for DesignJoy. I don't know if I ever talked about churn actually, but it's about 15%. So it's a lot higher than a piece of software. But I mean, there's a high majority of that just being natural churn, and that you don't need the design support anymore, or that they've paused their subscription.
And I mean, dude, you're charging. Also, you're charging like 50 times more than most software, right?
Exactly.
So like, it doesn't really matter that the churn is higher.
Yeah, and there's could be some months where it's 20%, right? I'm fortunate. I don't have a marketing plan or a lead gen funnel thank God I don't need one. But yeah, I would say at 20% churn, like you better have something figured out
Yeah.
to get new clients in. But yeah, I forgot what was the base of the question though. I think
The
I went on a
initial,
different
I
tangent
think,
there.
I do want to talk about those things too. I was going to go to churn rate and stuff right after,
Okay.
which is cool. You
Okay.
started going into it, but I was just asking how many new clients every
Oh
month
yeah.
or on average that you're getting.
Yeah, I would say every month, it's maybe 3 to 4. I have nine calls slots a week. They're constantly filled
Hmm.
for onboarding, and then some of them trickle in all at the same time. Some of them trickle in months later. So on average, it's about 3 to 4 new ones a month.
Okay, so people just go and they click get started and they pay. Can they book a call before they pay?
That's the only opportunity to book a call. So if you ever want to see my face, that's your one and only opportunity to do that. Occasionally there are people that just up and sign up out of the blue without ever even speaking to me,
But pretty much
but
everybody books a call, I imagine, right?
most people do. Like last month I had 2 people just randomly booked it, but that's an anomaly.
That's
Most people book a
sick.
call.
Dude, that's so
And they're
crazy
15
to get.
they're 15-minute calls. So yeah, it's wild to like see a payment come through for 5K or 8K and be like, I don't even know who they are. But
That's insane. Yeah.
ballers, man.
Yeah, that's crazy, dude. Okay, so 3 to 4 new clients, and then do you know? Okay, roughly speaking, how long does a client on average stay? Like 6 months, 9 months?
Yeah. It's a little hard to answer that question because most clients end up pausing their subscription. Very few of them full out cancel it. I mean, it does happen every month, but that number maybe one.
Uh-huh.
Generally, people are pausing it, and then I've had maybe 20 clients paused for a year that have never come back, and then I have others that pause infrequently, maybe like once a month or once every couple months. But
Okay.
I'd say overall cancellations is relatively low per month.
Got it. Got it. Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. The thing that I was just working out was like LTV on a client, you know. So if
Oh
somebody was there for
yeah, yeah.
10 months, it's like, okay, you kind of know on average, you know, if I get a
Yeah,
client, they'll be like 30.
I've had about 4 to 5 clients have over 100K LTV.
Hmm.
I have several in the 30 to 70, 80 range, and then the rest is below that. But
Wow.
I'd say average would it's hard to average it because of the pause feature, but it's got to be somewhere in like the average of like 30 to 40.
Damn. Okay, that is solid. That is solid. Okay. And so right now, I imagine the new clients that you're getting, do you have a pulse on where these new clients are coming from? Do you have a way where you ask
Yeah.
them maybe? Are they coming from Twitter? Are they coming from referrals?
Yeah, funny enough, it's kind of like a two-tiered answer. It's usually an employee of the company recommended Design Joy. So that's the majority of what I hear is like I get on a call with the CEO or head of product, and they're like, "Hey, one of our engineers, it's usually engineers, funny enough, saw you on Twitter and thought we should check you out." That is the most common story that I hear. Other than that, yeah, I mean, they're either been following me for a while, they find me on YouTube, or they just do a general Google organic
Okay.
search.
Okay.
Mhm.
Man, I feel so much better now because I'm starting to understand and put the pieces together because literally was hurting I'm like, how? There wasn't a lot of explanation around this, at least that I could find. And when I was talking to my friends on how you made this happen. But now as I'm listening to you and going through this, I'm like, okay, the laws of marketing are working. You know, it's not just like people. To me, it sounded like you're getting customers out of thin air with no marketing, with like nothing. But now I
Yeah.
start to understand where Twitter is bringing awareness to you, which is like bringing in these 3 to 4 customers, new customers every single month. Your skill of providing value to your clients is what's keeping most of them for a long time. And that's at a high level how this machine is working. So that makes a ton of sense. I'm sure there's like a million other nuances, but like at a very high
Yeah.
level, like that makes sense.
Yeah, no, and you're definitely not alone. I mean, there's a lot of skeptics around the idea of Design Joy, and is it really generating what he says it's generating? And I mean, I would
Yeah.
hope to goodness, because I don't think I could keep this going for 6 years and not be telling a big old lie. But
Yeah.
yeah, I think a lot of people overestimate the amount of work that it takes too. Um, but during those first 5 years, like it's worth noting, like this was not an easy journey for me. I worked 14, 15-hour days, like literally like sun up till late at night. My wife would sit here. I say this all the time. My wife would sit here and eat dinner with me at the desk, and then she'd put the kids to bed, and I would work till the late hours of the night. That was for a good like 2 years.
Yeah.
So only in finding the right clients and finding the right balance and reducing the scope of work was I able to now work, maybe 6 hours a day, make a good living. But it took
Yeah.
a hell of a lot
I
to
love a
get to
lot.
that point. Yeah.
That makes sense. Yeah. As I think about it, I'm like, a lot of it, I think, is also your reputation that you've built online. Also the work that you've done with the clients that you've worked with. That's a big, important point, which I think a lot of people don't understand. And I think probably a lot of people have copied your site and have built similar pricing. I'm sure they've done that. And then they've been thinking, why am I not just getting these clients? And I think they're missing the part where when the client comes to their site, they don't see a lot of reputable work that they've done, or they don't have a lot of reputation online. Because, because like people are finding you through your organic content, falling in love with it, and then recommending somebody, right? So it's like organic content / referrals.
Yeah, and obviously, like when you're running a product service, your website is literally your product. It's like if you were selling a physical product and putting it on a shelf, if you're selling a t-shirt, that t-shirt equivalent would be your website in this case. Like if you were selling a physical product and putting it on a shelf, if you're selling a t-shirt, that t-shirt equivalent would be your website in this case. That's what you're purchasing through. So a lot of people, like I would say most people productizing their services right now are not hitting that mark of like, yes, I'm an authority in design. Like this is showcasing your true skills and like having a really cool, really high quality portfolio. They're just missing the mark on all that. Maybe because they're just not there yet and they don't have really even the skills necessary to do that. Maybe they're jumping in preemptively. But like your website and your branding and like the authority that you possess and display online is obviously huge. I couldn't have ever done what I've done without doing that.
Okay. So let's go into that then. How are you demonstrating your expertise? Because to me, the expertise I see is, hey, I'm somebody who's making money from this thing. I'm somebody who is very successful doing this thing. So I can understand how you sell, productize yourself, which makes sense from your marketing. I at least didn't see tweets about design. I didn't see tweets about like your portfolio work. I see them about Stripe. And so I don't understand how somebody makes a connection. You know what I mean?
Sure.
With that. So walk me through that.
Well, I mean, first off, there's a reason why, I've never considered myself to be, a truly, truly great designer. I'm senior level because I've been doing it for a long time and I'm good at it, but definitely not like there's other people that that's their job. They can tell you about design and talk about it all day long. It's just not what I like to do. But yeah, it's tough. I think you can reduce it down to this. I mean, the proof is in the pudding. If you see a designer making $120K a month or $100K a month, obviously, and you do that year after year or month after month, obviously there's something there. Maybe at most it creates this curiosity around how he's doing it or what he's doing it, or is he using templates, or is he using shortcuts or component libraries to like speed things up? So obviously, like there's very few non-skeptical people out there, but yeah, it's a slippery slope to like talk so much about money, but also show that you actually know what you're doing. But I think by making as much money as I am, it does prove at least something.
No. Okay, so let me get this straight. I love that you talk about money. I think that is fantastic. Personally, I love that. And I think a lot of people that follow you that obviously love that too. That's why they follow you. I think that's great. I do that similar thing in my coding niche, and a lot of people attack me on YouTube who are like, oh my God, Kazi's talking about money. And I'm like, a lot of people join programming not because that was the most fun thing on the planet, right? Like people pick it. I initially picked it because there was a lot of money to be made. Yes, I ended up falling in love with it. But when I talk about it, I get a lot of hate. So I understand that. I'm not talking about that. What I'm talking about is, how are people seeing you as an expert in design. Like, for example, right?
Oh, I see. Yeah.
You know, if you make a lot of money, what, I go to my boss and be like, hey, boss, Design Joy, this guy makes a shit ton of money. Should we hire him? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
how do
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
pitch you?
I got you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, obviously it starts with the personal brand that I've created around Design Joy. I mean, I think for the most part, when people visit my site, they have an initial impression that, all right, this is high quality stuff. Early on, like all I got was like, hey, I want my site to look exactly like yours. Like I want your site in my own industry. So
Yeah.
like obviously that drew people in. The work that I showcase, I mean, I've designed Beehive, I designed Buy Me a Coffee, I've designed all these big products.
Beehive, that's crazy because I use Beehive.
Yeah, so like and Buy Me a Coffee is like a big one now. But yeah, I do have authority. Unfortunately, a lot of projects I can't even talk about because I do them via white label agency work. But I do have authority, and when you look at my portfolio, I mean, you can get a pretty quick impression. I don't even think my portfolio is that great, but like I think people get a pretty quick impression of the skills that you have and that you possess. Whether like you could consider me a design authority, like just by looking at my site, I mean that's questionable, but for somehow it's working, obviously, because I don't really have a problem convincing people at this time.
Okay, I want to get into that. You just said something and you glazed over it real quick, and that kind of blew my mind. And I was like, holy hell. You just said white label agency work, which, to me that is genius. I'm sure you weren't even trying to look for it. I'm sure people came to you and you were like, oh, cool, there's a demand for this.
Yeah.
I don't know how much you could talk about it, but is like a substantial chunk of your revenue coming from white label agency work?
Oh, yes. Yes. Yeah. I would
like 50%, like lower or greater?
Probably around 50%. Yeah. Yep.
Fuck. That is
genius.
I mean,
you're right. It wasn't that I necessarily sought it out, but given the model and everything I talked about, it just makes sense. It makes sense
That's
for
smart.
me. It makes sense for them.
That makes the most sense. That is so
Yeah.
smart. So it's, wow, I never, like, dude, this is so meta. You're like an agency, and then agency are your clients.
The agent, like, I call myself like the agency for agencies. Yeah. I mean, I work with some very, very top tier branding agencies, software agencies, design agencies, some agencies who don't offer design but want to integrate it in and sell it. Agencies sell things at such a high price tag. It is not difficult at all to find margin in a $5K a month subscription when you're getting multiple projects done.
Oh,
and for me, I mean, that just means recurring work, recurring revenue. If they go through seasons where they're not doing as much, they can pause their subscription. So it's like,
wow,
it makes up a large percentage of my client base and always has.
Dude, that's genius. Like, I know any software developer or people that hear that a huge light bulb will go off. I know my friend specifically, a light bulb will go off in his head because he can even hit up, because he's good at the work that he does and he's good at, but maybe what he could even do is probably hit up a bunch of find agencies that fit his niche, his thing, NFT marketplaces or whatever. And it's just such a weird way to think, because when you're an agency, you just think they're your competitors. But
nope,
it's like you're under. It's almost like you're under them, working for them. But like, it doesn't matter as long as you have your margins and shit, and you could actually ally with them. And so, yeah, I think that could be really cool. Where if he went to niches that work with him, and then found out that they were way better than him at selling, and and then they just needed fulfillment, and then he could find his margins.
Sure. Yeah, I do a lot of white label work for them. I also a lot of times will actually work on their own brand too. Like today I was working on a really big agency's own brand and own site because they like fresh perspectives, or maybe they don't have senior level people on their team. Another like good niche outside of agencies that are very similar, that I've worked with a lot, are actually VC firms too. Because VC firms have usually a portfolio of clients, and when they onboard one, it's very, very nice to be able to just integrate it into Design Joy and have this kind of constant, repetitive, like one source of design support in one package.
VC firms, wow.
VC firms, because they have money, and B, they usually have a portfolio of companies, and most of them need designers. And why would you hire an internal designer for each of them, pay a salary when you can have a Design Joy subscription and all
Wow.
integrated into the same system? So it's just
Okay.
another more kind of niche to seek out.
So like fulfillment. I so I want to get deeper into this fulfillment. So like, okay, say I want to pay $5,000 and do some design for my platform. How does it, like, how do I know what I'm getting? How do I know, like, if you have, like, you have so many clients, I'm like, will he even get a chance to work on my thing? You know, maybe he doesn't even work on it that month. Yeah. So how does that work? And then how do you keep, okay.
Yeah, I think you're onto something there. Setting expectations is like the number one challenge with this sort of service, because everything's so fluid. But luckily, the one of the reasons why productized services are so popular and so effective is everything's, for the most part, pretty standardized. So with Design Joy, for example, if you were to sign up today and you had, I don't know, some software you want designed or a website, let's take a website because it's just simpler. I have a rule of thumb, like most things take 48 hours. So if you want a homepage redesign, 48 hours. If you want a logo done or branding work done, 48 hours. And then you can compute that in your head to say, all right, I'll get this number of requests done in 1 month, with some fluidity there. Maybe one thing takes 1 day, so you get an additional task or whatever. But you can get a general, very broad idea of how many things you can get done in a month. Just by doing that, knowing that most things take 2 days to do.
How do people even find out about this? Because I don't understand it from your website at all. Like, would I have to talk to you, but then I only have 15 minutes to talk to you. So in that 15-minute conversation, I would need to ask you, or would I need to email you to ask you? How do people figure out what's included or what they could potentially expect to get?
Yeah, I mean that's definitely comes up on a lot of the calls. So, I mean, first off, the calls, they are only 15 minutes. I'm not saying they don't extend this to 20 minutes sometimes, but we skip all the niceties and just get straight to business. I have no spiel that I do. I just open the floor up to any questions they have. So we jump straight into the questions, because the website does a decent job of laying it all out. But like you said, there are some gaps in that and some confusion points. So yeah, that is generally if they are price conscious or budget conscious, that is generally a topic that does come up. And in that case, I have them pull up what they have or show me what they want done, and I can give them a general ETA online that, okay, maybe this will take 1 month, or I think you'll need at least a 2-month subscription, or possibly a 3-month or beyond that. But yeah, we kind of go over that on the call very briefly in like 5 minutes and get a general rundown of what they could expect to get done given their exact specific situation and what they need done.
Interesting. Okay. So say I have a product that I sell. I have a course, right? It's called Profit with AI and ChatGPT. And I want to just have a dope, like, sales page.
Sure.
How much would that cost me doing that with you? Would it be multi-month? Would it be 1 month? Like, what would that take?
So what I would tell you, I'll pretend like I'm on a sales call with you. So what that would be looking like, you'd be definitely in a month's time. What that would look like as far as process goes, if you signed up today, by Friday, I would have a high fidelity, pixel perfect design ready for you. That's fully flushed out. From there, I'll pass it off to you. If that's great, then great. It only took 2 days. But you have the total freedom to come back to me and request as many revisions as you want. Or if you want completely entirely new concepts drawn up around that, we can do that too. Tack on another couple of days for that. Revisions are typically done the next day. So 3 days to get like a concept plus revisions done. 4 days to get two brand new, totally different concepts done. So again, you can kind of do the math. That would leave you 3 to 4 weeks left to get whatever you want done, or you can just pause your subscription and come back to Design Joy whenever you have more design work that you need.
Damn. Okay. So, fantastic. That's really good. Okay. And then I get the design, meaning that I still need personally, I would need a developer to make it come to life, right? Like have it online. But what I do get is a design, and then I can hand it off to somebody to make it. Okay.
Unless you want to meet a bill in Webflow, which I do support as well. But yeah, other than that, you'd need a developer to help you.
Oh, so how would that work? So if I wanted to have a whole page and I wanted to have it in Webflow, would that also be part of 1 month, and then that would be up and running?
Sure. Yeah. You'd pay for that Webflow add-on, which is $1,000 a month. It runs separately from your base design subscription, even though
Yeah.
that base design subscription is required to have the Webflow add-on. So now you're paying $6,000 a month while you're using Webflow.
Yeah.
But that Webflow build out would probably take, again, another couple of days. So you're called a week to get design
Okay.
iterations and development done.
Okay.
And then, yeah.
So like if I did it for 1 month, that would cost me $6,000, but I would have a sales page that I could then, and then I could continue just paying for Webflow on my own. And then I could pause it. Would that be, for that particular case, that would work?
Yeah, because you wouldn't necessarily want to pay $6,000 for that. Like if you couldn't pause, then that would be effectively what you're doing is paying $6,000 for that. But like, let's say you add in 5 or 6 or 10 other tasks, then obviously that cost goes down and down and down the more tasks get done. So if that's the only thing you need for Design Join, that's the only thing you're signing up for, and you have no intention
what's
of
the
using
max?
it beyond that,
Like
then,
what if I just wanted to like abuse this 5,000 a month subscription, right? Like what's the max I could do? Like
the max,
like could I have you do 10 landing pages, 20 like
Sure.
what's the limit?
Yeah, the max is going to be, again, one request at a time, average delivery time of 48 hours. So you'd have to do the math there, to divide that by 31 days. Now, again, there are some times when I'm like, I'm going to feel generous today, just get this done the same day, or maybe the next day. So it could be, you could get more than that technically, but it never takes more than 2 days to get it done.
Got it. So basically like it could almost be like 5 tasks or something in a month, or 3 tasks where it's like, you know, landing page for something, this other thing. Okay, cool. That makes sense.
Between 5 to 10. Yeah. But you can't abuse it. It's impossible to abuse it.
I love that. That's
you can just leverage it as much as possible, but to go beyond that and abuse it, it's actually impossible given the one task at a time and 24-hour or 40-hour delivery time.
Oh my God, that is smart, man. That is so cool. Because yeah, the fulfillment thing is just, that has to be dialed in, and it seems like you have it dialed in. That's genius. This is really cool. Yeah, I love how you're the first person who kind of came up with this, because that's, you know, it sounds really simple when all good things are like that. When they're figured out, it sounds so simple. It's like, well, duh, obviously, but it's genius, and it takes years and years to figure it out. I'm sure that's how long it took you.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't know what the hell I was doing when I first created this, and I will somewhat correct you. I wasn't necessarily the first one to sell design as a subscription. I was the first one to take it on by myself and do it for these higher end website design, branding. Design Pickle was first. They did it for like low tier graphic design work. So I did have someone to look at, but like I just applied it to what I was good at. That's all I did.
Okay.
But yeah, it's not very complicated, as you can see. I mean, it's a pretty simple model.
Okay. So Brett, by the way, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So Brett, tell me what do you think would happen if you didn't have any social media presence? I want to try to figure out how important Indie Hackers, Twitter, just social media in general was for you to grow. If you had zero social media presence, do you think you would have gone from 3K to 80K a month, or even 100K a month?
Are you including Indie Hackers and that sort of thing in the?
I'm including yes, Indie Hackers in the social media presence.
Okay. I think I would have, but it would have cost me a lot more money to do that. I mean, as it stands, I haven't spent a penny on marketing, but like if I didn't have any sort of outreach to the public via those platforms, it would have definitely cost me a lot more, and it would have inevitably taken me quite a bit longer. But if I would have went back, I would have hired a really kick-ass like growth partner, specialized in YouTube, Facebook ads, and gone about it that way. But again, it would have cost me a lot of money to do that.
Yeah.
I don't know that I would ever did it.
Wow. Okay. That's powerful. Hopefully anybody that's listening, it tells you how important and valuable it is to have essentially a brand, you know, and some kind of online social media presence. For fulfillment, what type of work do you do mostly, and what industry? So those are questions that I wrote down as you were talking.
Okay.
Is it landing page? Yeah. Like, is 80% of your work like landing pages? You know, how do you break that down?
Yeah, 90% of it, I say 90% loosely, but it's almost all of it falls exclusively into 3 buckets. And it usually goes in this order: branding, do the branding of the company when they first come on. It's either a rebrand or creating a brand from scratch. Marketing site, so landing pages, and then we move into the product design. That's the three main things I do. I offer all the other stuff for marketing and blogs and stuff like that and socials, but pales in the comparison to the volume of work that I do in those other three buckets.
Hmm. Okay, got it. So that's mainly it. So I come to you either branding, or if I did, I did the thing with you where I'm like, okay, we'll have a couple of landing pages and we'll have our core sales page ready, hopefully, like 3 tasks, 4 tasks. And then after that, even if I decided to pause it, I can continue running Webflow on my own. And that would
Sure.
fall under your branding, marketing, and product design bucket.
Precisely. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, I'm selling
Yeah.
myself on your service, dude. Okay, cool. So that's great. That's great. And then industry, like, how do you break it down? Is 80% of it tech SaaS industry? Is it? You understand my point? Like, what do you think
Yes.
if you had to break the industry?
Almost exclusive. Well, if you cut agencies out of it, because agencies could, even
50%?
even if you drill down into the clients that the clients that I'm working on through the agencies, they're mostly all tech SaaS. Yeah, I do very little e-commerce. I do very little, really anything outside of that. I don't even
So it's
know what
like
exists outside of that.
99%
Yeah,
tech SaaS?
it's almost all of it is tech SaaS. Yeah,
Okay, cool.
yeah,
100% tech SaaS. Interesting. So
yeah. I'd call it
agency,
100%.
okay, so agencies fall under that, and then 50% is agencies, and then 50% is, what do you call it? Like enterprises,
Small to
businesses.
medium, sometimes large occasionally, but yeah, small to medium, sort of like B2B platforms. Yeah.
Um, B2B platforms. Interesting.
Yeah. A lot of B2B kind of SaaS platforms.
So
Yeah.
so like Lemless type of platforms. I mean, Beehive, I guess I guess that's considered a
Mm,
medium-sized company or
yeah.
small.
Beehive. Yeah. 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 Most of them are, not as successful as like a Beehive, but a lot of them are like just getting started. So they have like an MVP out there and they're just kind of like, it's time to revisit it and revamp it and enhance it. So yeah,
Wow.
they're a lot of them are very forward thinking, very design centric. Like they really know good design and value it and are willing to pay for it.
Got it.
So that's key. Yeah.
Do they have usually do these companies tend to have funding?
Yes. Oh yes. Yeah. A lot of them do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Um yeah, and yeah, okay. I'm asking these questions. I mean, again, I'm interested too, but like even for my YouTube sponsorships, that we do, last year we did I think $1.5 million in 3 months from sponsorships.
Sheesh.
Yeah, and all of those sponsorships were from companies that had 50 like they all had raised Series B, Series like C, D, like big raises. No, almost none of them were under 100 mil or 500 mil.
Oh yeah. That's a little bit bigger. I don't quite work with as many of those. Usually it's like I think from what I see, like the 5 mil range. No,
Okay.
no, no, really no one at like the 100 mil
Oh,
range
dude, that's
yet.
sick.
Yeah.
5 mil
Yeah.
plus range.
Yeah. Usually what I see their seed announcements or whatever, it's usually somewhere around there.
Okay.
Hmm.
Okay. Fantastic.
Couple
Dude,
at
this
20 mil, but that's the max, I think.
okay. Got it. Wow, this is really insightful, man. This is exciting for me to hear. I know a lot of people in the tech space and people who are software developers. This will be really, really interesting. I'm even trying to think like how could I apply it to my YouTube coaching? Because um, I was trying to find some kind of thing where people could get YouTube coaching from me. They just pay a certain amount per month, and there are people who were paying like 5K a month and getting YouTube coaching, and I understood that that was really expensive for a lot of people, and so I just recently pitched to people like $500 a month. You don't get any calls, but you can text me and I'll send you voice notes. Pretty
Yeah.
much same business day, and I just randomly pitched it the other day, and one person said yes. So I'm like super excited. I'm like, oh shit, like that could be a
Dude, that's
thing.
sick. Dude, I have
So
something for you.
yeah,
I just
tell
had a
me.
call yesterday with Intro. Have you heard of them?
No.
So there's a lot of big names on there, like Sahil Bloom. There's a lot of big names on there, but it's basically a where you can access like experts,
Oh,
like founder of Zillow or Substack or whatever. They're all on there. or shouldn't say they're all, there are a bunch on there. And there's these right now, if you go on there, you can book a call with any of them. You pick a slot. Just yesterday, they showed me exactly what you just described, a monthly fee, and you set like unlimited Slack messages or whatever. They're about to introduce that as a subscription. So you can go to an expert and subscribe to like monthly mentorships from them, and they outline exactly what you get for that. If you do calls or if you do Slack messages. So they have that platform exactly as you described, but you could also go and build it by yourself very easily too. So
dude, that is
very cool platform.
That is really, really cool. I never knew that, because now I'm thinking about it. I'm like, I could just put that on my YouTube channel descriptions. Anybody interested in growing YouTube, I'll do YouTube coaching, $500 a month, and you just get access.
You need to get a hold of Intro, like apply as a expert. Obviously you are, so you'll get accepted, but it looks fantastic. I'm super stoked for it.
Are you going to apply?
So, I applied. I'm in. We're doing a public launch on the 2nd of November. So,
oh shit. Did they take a cut? They take a cut, right?
I should have asked that. I don't know. I mean, everyone else takes a cut anyway. So yeah, I'm sure that they take a cut. But the platform itself is like, I've done consultation calls like through Calendly, but Intro is freaking baller, man. It's dope.
Really? Okay, I'm looking at it. $750 per dude, that's cool that we could talk to like. It's funny because I was like, man, I want to talk to like a lot of experts. Founder of Reddit, why is he only charging $700? I don't understand.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, man. It's crazy the access that you get to these people. Like anyone can do it. You don't have to. You can be a no-namer and get access to these people.
I'm excited. So, yeah, like I want to. Because I'm like, holy shit, I could talk to anybody. Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, very cool platform. But yeah, the subscription thing I think is going to be huge.
So basically, if we just have to recap and leave everybody with some kind of advice, and you can add on to this, but to me, I'll just say what I see it as. It's one of the biggest things to do is build a personal brand, because even when we saw, how we saw Brett go from 3K to 80K, 100K a month. Brett, you told me yourself that without social media, that was very unlikely to happen. Or you might have had to figure out completely different strategies. And now using social media, you've also got your product service to almost 100K. Not product service, your productize yourself course, digital course, to almost 100 grand a month. And so you're almost at a $2 million a year run rate as a solopreneur. And this is happening at the back of Twitter, primarily, along with a phenomenal service that you have, because they come for the tweets and they stay for the design.
There you go. That's a good way of putting it. Yeah, that's so true.
So that, I think, is as a lesson to everybody, is like, hey, build your brand and then build a good service. And then for the service, scope it down and make it niche. If we look at your niche, 100% tech SaaS. Product specifically focused on design work with nothing else, like no actual development. You're focusing on design. You have 48-hour turnarounds so that sets a very clear expectation. And to me, those are, if I have to just summarize at a very high level, those are the few core pillars of your success. I'm just doing this to summarize, but you tell me if I've missed anything or just adding in some additional thoughts.
No, I mean, dude, you nailed it. I think, I always tell people anyone can productize what they do. If you have a skill, again, it doesn't matter if you're a developer, a writer, marketer, whatever it is you do. Even if you like edit podcasts, you edit YouTube videos, like you can productize editing, YouTube videos. But yeah, the key is to pick those two things the things that you're fast and good at, and get rid of everything else. But yeah, I think, I don't know. I'm so happy to see like the attention and the boom that's happening. I never would have thought it'd happen when I created this 6 years ago. And it just happened so suddenly, but I'm so excited to see what comes of this. I think it's going to be hard to ignore for traditional agencies moving forward, just because it is such a slick selling point that's hard. It's just hard to ignore. But yeah, absolutely. I think you pretty much nailed it.